Need a presenter? Your Event Audio has you covered. Closed circuit audio equipment with turnkey operation at your trade show booth, live event, or private event. YourEventAudio.com is the place to go. DJ services, MC talent, and a whole lot more. Check out YourEventAudio.com today.
Save your seat now for EXHIBITOR Live 2024. The conference and exhibition for trade show and corporate event marketing is coming to Nashville, Tennessee, February the 25th to 28th. EXHIBITOR Live features 100 educational sessions and workshops covering everything you need to know to run a successful face-to-face marketing program. Plus, you'll enjoy 2 days to shop North America's largest exhibition of trade show and event products and services. Attention! Register now and save $400 with our early bird rate. Learn more at exhibitorlive.com. Well, as you can see, if you're watching the video, if you're listening to us, you should probably find the video. It'll be very entertaining for you because this is our Christmas show for the EXHIBITOR Now podcast from the EXHIBITOR Group. I'm Mike Morrison, National Sales Director for WS Display. If you're watching the video, you can see the Grinch. On the other side, that would be Mark Johnson. He is the owner of the EXHIBITOR Group, and we co-host this show that we've done now for a year. We are concluding our 1 year. The 1st of January, we'll start our second year. And what better way, Mark, than to have our Christmas show? It's kind of a fun dress-up time for Mark and Mike. Not a lot happening with people trying to trying to do business. This is a lot of downtime right now. As we mentioned last week's show, so many are trying to get ready for shows in January, shows that are coming up on the calendar. And, thinking of that, it's probably a public service announcement reminder that's probably a good idea to make sure your passports are up to date, your TSA and clear pre-checks are paid. I know mine just came up. I got to send a check, or actually nobody sends a check anymore. You just go online and give them your credit card to renew that. And another thing I thought about, and I've done that here at the end of this year, is comfortable shoes. I'm a big Hoka guy, as a lot of people know. There's On Cloud. There's some others out there that are really good. But these show floors, Mark, they will get to you after a while.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to put in all those steps and the miles that start going on with the shows. And yeah, as you're indicating, it's right after New Year's. We're all busy with CES, and things are going crazy from there on in. You've got one show after another pretty much through the first quarter, and it is an exciting time. And yeah, I'm sorry I got a little dressed up today, and I did get to be the full Grinch for my lovely little Leo's 5th birthday. Had the whole costume and mask, and I was going to wear that today, but I thought that might be a little too much for the group, and it's kind of fun with it as goes. But yeah, it's good to do this. We had our ugly sweater contest here at the office yesterday, so that's fun to see what's going on, and it's good times. And it is. We all, as we said earlier, this is a crazy business. We're addicted to it. We love it. There's a lot of fun that comes with this, and there's a lot of hard work and pressure. And so there's time to not take ourselves so serious and play around a little bit. And I've been known to do that. And I told you earlier too, I actually have a purple Santa suit and have worn that at the offices as we've handed out the Christmas bonuses and stuff like that. So it's fun.
I figure you just turn purple by all the what do you call it? Those Christmas bonuses that you have to put out makes you turn purple naturally or something like that. Makes the blood pressure rise. I would understand that one. A lot of people from EDPA remember the vest that I wore when I was DJing the after party. So I just broke it out, and then the Dollar Tree had this little stupid sequined hat that probably will never be worn again. But it gives us an opportunity just to, like you said, kind of play around and do that. Now next week I can wear this same vest for New Year's, our New Year's show, but because off mic I was telling you I've got this fiber LED hat that does a light show on it that's coming in. I'm sure I'm gonna get it for Christmas unless UPS drops the ball, but if it comes in, I'll make sure I wear that next week. Let's talk about what's that?
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, that'll be it is at least online, it's a pretty impressive light show that this thing does for $40. So let's talk about another subject that's kind of in the forefront these days. We've actually talked a little bit about it. We'll talk a little bit about its relationship with live, and that's the term bleisure. You've heard of it. It's travel that combines both business and leisure by not committing to one purpose solely for the trip. People on a bleisure trip will typically add some extra days to their business trip in order to relax. It is a new aspect within our industries and others as well, it seems. So, Mark, here's my question. We were talking about it off mic, and I kind of still see it as a valid point. Do you think that the industry as a whole will latch onto this idea, or is there enough pushback from company heads to say it's not happening due to the costs involved?
I think it's going to continue, and I would push it even more. It's been going for a long time. Many people know we're OSPI members also, and the Octanorm OSPI network. They've got their meetings, and they've always had a day or two tag on if you want to do some other event and stay with your family and explore that city a little more. I think that is driven even harder now with this the new world we're in after COVID. We all realize that, hey, we got to have a little bit more life balance as we work with it. And we're looking for, if I'm going there, what else can I do when I'm there? And does it make sense to stay another day or two? Then you add the element that most jobs can work remotely and kind of have that aspect. And as I said before, we weren't able to do it in time for Nashville, but our other cities coming up for 25, 26, 27 will all have add-ons to it before and after that they can come and do. And we're trying to figure out with the hotels, negotiating even better rates if you want to stay for a day or two. Like one we do, I'm not going to tell you the year yet, but we're signed up with Denver. And so the idea then is when we go to Denver, does that hotel chain have a partner up in the mountains that you can actually go skiing for a few days and you still get the same rate? So we're trying to do things like that that really happens. And I know with my team, we just surveyed our employees for the year, and the number one thing that makes them love the place and they want to make sure we continue is that life balance. Will you give me flexibility to do my job remotely at times when I travel with my husband, spouse, whatever the case is, or just some time at home?
Valid point. I guess the one thing I think about is the separation between the upper official level, C-suite, they call them, let's say VP and up. It's probably easier for them to get a bleisure trip than it is a project manager, maybe an I&D guy, somebody like that who's on the road all the time already, and they go to a place, and is it possible for them to see that couple of extra days, or will their schedule allow it? I guess that's kind of where my question mark comes, because even though there's a differential between the echelon of employee that we're talking about, it's still humans that are out there trying to work and travel and try to take advantage of the same thing.
Yeah, I think every one of my employees, no, doesn't matter the level, they've asked for and taken an extra day here and there because they're in the city. Now, your point about scheduling, oh my gosh, I'd like to take 2 more days, but I got to get back to
Exactly.
work because I got 3 more projects to do. That's where you got to try to find the balance and not overwork your team and make sure that they have time away. Like many companies, our vacation time is use it or lose it because we really want people to take that time. And I think our whole industry thinks that way. You're trying to do things like that that really protect the people and not create that burnout. So hopefully we can find it. I guarantee you it's just as important from C-suite to entry level. While you're there, can you do something fun? I got 2 new kids just coming into our engineering department and they're going to Vegas for CES. Can I stay a day later? Sure, go do what you need to do, and have some fun while you're there. But can you be back by Monday? Because we've got another project for you. So it's kind of a balance you just have to do.
Delicate balance, to say the least. It'll be interesting to watch as we roll into a new year and see how that transitions for a lot of companies and workers in this industry. Finally, travel. It's at the forefront again as we gear up for 2024 travel. It is somewhat important to note that the pilots for these planes that we fly are getting paid. Southwest Airlines has reached a preliminary labor deal that would award its pilots a hefty pay increase after more than 3 years of negotiations. The president of the pilots union said that the 5-year contract is worth about $12 billion for its pilots. The agreement still needs to be sent to members for approval. Southwest is the last major carrier to come on to terms with that contract. Pilots at American, United, and Delta have already negotiated sizable raises. So it's good to know, Mark, that it's worth noting that by the way, flight attendants are next in line to strike a little bit back at the people who are paying them. They're looking for a new contract vote themselves. And gosh, it's just like seemingly the strikes continue. And why can't we just pay people enough to do their job? you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of companies are, and they're trying to, but yeah, it is a little bit of unfortunately, the airlines industry, it seems like they're not paying until somebody does put a strike in play. We saw it in Vegas too, with all of the uh, front end line and hospitality workers with it. So you can do it. You got to figure out how to do it. I will share personally my view, just mine, is I'm still disappointed at all the airlines. They got big bucks during COVID to stay afloat and that stuff, and they didn't do as much as they could have to keep their team happy and in place with it, from my perspective. But I did tell you too that from a flight attendant's perspective, I think they're one of the unsung heroes. These are people that really get stuck with a lot of the nastiness, and we've all seen social media where, there's a Karen on the plane or somebody that's really attacking somebody else, or we've just lost some common decency amongst people and how we take care of it. And they're not as covered or treated as well. My mother and my sister did that, worked in the industry. So I shared with you when I get on, I usually slip the lead attendant $20 and said, "Hey, I know it's not a lot, but at least maybe you can buy a cup of coffee for everybody on the crew, or at least start the first beer. And thank you for what you do. I appreciate you guys."
$20 at the airport, take a sip, take a sip, take a
Yeah,
sip.
I know.
It's that's not their fault. It's just the way prices are in the airports these days. But I get it. It's the gesture of doing that. I share it off mic, and a lot of people who have known me for the years being in the South know I'm a Waffle House guy. That's something that I grew up with and appreciate. All those behind the grill waitresses that really sling it and do what they have to do. And lately, I'll go in even at morning or night and grab something quick because I'm out running around. And if it's a $10 bill for me alone, I'll leave a 20 on the bar, and they'll look and I'll go, "No change, just thanks for your service," and move on. And it means a lot to people these days to over tip. Let me tell you one more story. I did not tell you this one. My wife and I went out to a Mexican restaurant near here on Sunday evening, and we had a over the top waitress. I mean, she was amazing, right? And so the bill's like $31, and I'm looking at it, and my wife looks at me because she knows me way too well, and says, she was really good. And I said, "I know, I've got it. Here's $10. Okay, there you go. Are you happy?" And of course, she's, now she's, mad at me. But so I'll leave it there. The next morning, when I wake up on my email, Capital One sends me an email and says, "Did you mean to tip 31% on this bill for this?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, they know me really well, don't they?
Well,
So,
yeah, you have the systems in place to kind of make sure that somebody didn't mark it up for you. Excuse me.
Sure.
But I think it is the time where, first of all of us that are blessed, and all of us are blessed in this country. Let's be honest, that we're a lot better off than most. And those of us who are gainfully employed and doing a good job and have that, if you got a little extra, share it. It means a lot to the people. Those little things really do go a big difference. You do change people's lives for some small amount of recognition and a couple of dollars here and there. So it's fun to do that. But it is back to the labor issue. There's going to continue to be a battle as the things start leveling out with the economy and inflation and pay. So I think we'll still see some more of those in 24.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just buy some people hats like this to wear this week, and or somebody can have mine. But nonetheless, do something extra for somebody. That's the end of the day. And it'll make you feel good. It'll obviously make them feel good. And I'm having to write that 100 times on the board so I can remind myself, like I did in school when I would mess up. So, we mentioned this a couple of times. I had the opportunity this week to sit down with Julie Kagy once again from ESCA, the Exhibition Services Contractors Association. We were able to redo our interview that we had just about 3 or 4 weeks ago down at EDPA Access, so we could get some clear audio and concise, understandable verbiage from her about what's happening with ESCA, because they got a lot going on. She was really excited to share that information with us. So let's take a real quick time out. Come back with Julie Kagy, if I can stop this bell from ringing in my ear, and we'll have more of the Exhibitor Now podcast after this. Are you searching for trade show and event products and services? Find it on Exhibitor Exchange is your complete buyer's guide to trade show exhibiting and events, featuring the trade show industry's top exhibit and display providers. Find It on Exhibitor Exchange is the industry's best shopping and commerce resource for buyers and sellers of exhibit and event products and services. Reaching 20,000 exhibit and event buyers in every print issue of Exhibitor magazine and 140,000 exhibit and event buyers online each year. Search the listings or list your company today. Learn more at exhibitoronline.com/findit. Welcome back to the Exhibitor Now podcast. As you can tell, I'm now out of my Christmas garb or costume or whatever you'd like to call it, a little more laid back now because it's a little earlier in the week for this interview. As we've said for the last couple of weeks, really look forward to this one because sometimes the redo is necessary. We had a computer glitch, a camera glitch, whatever you want to call it, down in Florida with the interview I had with Julie Kagy, who joins me now from ESCA. Currently the director of operations for ESCA, soon to be the executive director of the organization that I hold very near and dear to my heart. And so does the Exhibitor Now podcast, just so you know that. But a trooper, she understood that things happen, especially in a noisy environment. So we're going to have a do-over because I think that the content that we talked about on that day, even though I could have done it a little better, we're going to try to do much better on this one and give everybody a great outline of what's coming up with ESCA in 2024. But before we get into that, first of all, welcome to the show. You look great. And I'm sure here at the end of the year, you're getting ready to take a break, right?
Yes. Thanks for having me again, Mike. And there's still a lot of work to be done. So it'll be a short break, but excited for everybody else to take a break.
Yeah. And 23, crazy year, right? I mean, just off the chain numbers for almost every association that I've been a part of and have watched and seen numbers, especially here at the end of the year. I had to follow the Winter Awards ceremony from a bedside because of a medicinal reaction to a diabetic drug, but things happen for a reason. Apparently I wasn't supposed to be there, but from what I saw, the social media coverage of that was off the chain. It was great. Everybody got to say their so longs to Larry Arna Day. Also recognize Aaron Bloodworth and several other people who were awarded with very well-deserving awards through ESCA. It's just a top-notch organization, and it was a great way to end 2023.
Yeah, we had the best time. It was a really cool venue. There were so many people there. I don't even think I got to talk to a quarter of them. It was great to see a turnout, and largely driven by people wanting to extend their congratulations and thanks to Larry. So I think on behalf of the industry, it was a really great way to send him off. And it was a great way to end the year with a lot of celebrating with, like you said, our ESCA awards, with our scholarships, and with our transition of the presidency. We transition every year. So we welcome Taylor Vreens of Modern Expo and Events as the new president, and Damon Ross as ESCA's immediate past president. New to our executive committee will now be Pete Carroll of GES, coming secretary treasurer. And we got to welcome and thank a couple board members, Chris Casconi of Will Work and Freddie Peterson of Miami Beach Convention Center, are finishing their terms. Coming in, we have Calvin Moore of ASM Global, Angela Armstrong of GES, we have Steve Rowe of Heritage, and we have Anne, and I'm going to say her name wrong because it's French, Van Collier. I think I get it wrong. It's not in my immediate repeat yet of Aluvision. My apologies, Anne, but we're really excited to welcome them all to the ESCA board.
No, you did a better job than I would. I would have slaughtered that name because that's a challenge. Anything outside of the United States, especially the southern United States, is a challenge for Mike. Yeah. But let's backtrack for a second. 23, crazy year, cramming shows in short calendars and every type of challenge you can imagine. Most companies on the plus side, from what I understand. But let's look at it from an ESCA perspective, especially moving into the Summer Educational Conference. What I would imagine, I've never heard the ratings and the gradings of everything that happened, but how did that grade out? And then other things that happened throughout the year for 2023 in retrospect.
We know we spent a lot of time working on the content for the last summer educational conference, and our goal is to really have it be world-class education. And I think that we did an amazing job. We have 3 days of sessions, as you know, and from our very first session on Monday morning to our very last on Wednesday afternoon, the attendance was incredible. People were engaged, excited to be there, and excited for the content. We had our highest net promoter score ever. Our only kind of drawback, which was a little bit out of our control, was the weather. It was so warm, and we were ready for a hurricane. We were ready for rain backup. I have never had to activate weather backup for heat. So, I mean, everything was great, but that was the one piece of it. But again, out of our control, and it wasn't our first choice necessarily location. We don't try to go to Florida. That was because COVID really kind of put a wrench in our plans. So, but overall, it was amazing. Really, I think sets the foundation for going forward. And we're so excited for next year's summer conference. So, yeah.
Oh, let's call it what it was. It was hot as Hades. I mean, it was hot.
My husband said I'm a sprinkler.
That's right. We're all human sprinklers.
Today. I mean, who would have thought?
Yeah, we got to the dock for the ESCA event. I'm not shamelessly plugging that. I was just remembering looking out from the DJ stand, and people were slugging drinks, and I think the majority of them was to cool off from a day of golf and fishing and or everything that happened that day. I can't remember. I know it was fishing for me. It was a hot day, and but yes, you're right. Everything else probably graded out very, very well. And we'll talk more about this coming year and geographically where we're situated at. We should be good for 2024. But so a segue into 2024. Let's talk about that. A lot of things: new staff, new looks, new partners, new things. Everything's getting a new makeover, for lack of better words, for ESCA for 24. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one of our executive committee members keeps calling it ESCA 3.0. You know, it's an evolution. It's important to know where you came from and to honor those that got you there. And then it's important to ensure that you're taking the association to that next phase. And that's what our focus is. So we have 2 new staff members. Rachel Rodine is joining us as ESCA's Director of Education and Events, and Karen Murphy as ESCA's Director of Client Engagement. So really excited for the new energy and what they're going to bring to the organization. Yeah, pretty much everything's getting a facelift. We spent last year doing a lot of positioning and getting ready for that. So new partnerships with companies like 42 Chat, Event Ace, and so much exciting tech that they're going to bring with them. We have formalized our partnership with Employco, which is an amazing HR partner to ESCA, and continuing our partnerships with companies like Epic. So a big part of our business model is outsourcing and utilizing what others do better than us, and getting the breadth of that organization to work as a department of our organization. So we're excited about that. Excited about so much with our ESCA badge program. It is getting a full overhaul. We just launched a new website, new back end, new front end, and there are so many projects happening there. So we're really, really excited for what that's going to bring for the future of the trade show industry and safety and security there, as well as really formalizing our working relationships with other associations. We are working really closely with IAEE, EDPA, SEER, IAVM, ECA, Exhibitor Advocate, EACA, et cetera, to really formalize those things that make us stronger together, where we should be working more closely together. So focusing on that membership value proposition, enhancing our meetings, and creating world-class education, as well as the networking opportunities that come with that. And then reinvigorating the ESCA badge program. And I love I've been to so many events this year, and I've heard so many associations and other groups talk about that the model of the past is gone, as far as when you're bringing attendees and exhibitors together, that you need to create these opportunities for networking. And I thought, shoot, all these years, our event has been a bit of a boondoggle as far as we have so much networking. And now, you know, we finally arrived. We are where the model is. I'm excited about that.
You call it networking. We call it slinging liquor. But nonetheless, I'm just kidding.
Not a requirement.
Not that's right. You can drink water if you want to, but there's typically going to be a little bit of adult beverage aspect to that. I want to ask this question. It wasn't in my notes, but I added it based on listening to you and listening to other people within associations talk. It's an interesting anomaly as what's happened now with this collaborative effort of associations. Because when I came into this 20 plus years ago, you had your group, and you stayed as far apart as possible because you're fighting for pictures of dead presidents. You're trying to get them to spend money with you, and any kind of threat of them spending money over across the street was always looked upon as bad juju, basically, for lack of better words. So I find it as a good thing. First of all, it's an interesting anomaly of this collaborative effort that's happening with associations now. What's the benefit? Is it education? Is it just because it's a small world after all, and we really need to be collaborative? What's your take on this new collaborative effort among associations and people within the industry that have traditionally been competitors?
So coming into this role was really, in a lot of ways, eye-opening to me, because there's so many efforts that we need to work on that are not specific to ESCA, that are benefit not just our membership, but the entire industry. And it was one of the first things I did was reach out to say, why are we doing any of the things that are rising tide issues alone? Things like workforce development, safety, security, sustainability, and industry awareness. Those are rising tide issues that everybody should come together and work together for. And yet we're all spending all of our resources, whether it's time, people, money. Those are invaluable resources that none of us have enough of. So how do we come together for those issues where we should be working together? And we are stronger together, and we can frankly use less resources and have a greater impact if we do these things together. There is a reason we are separate organizations, and there will always be a reason for that. We have to serve our membership's needs, and our membership needs are not always in alignment with other association needs. They have to serve their membership needs. And at times, it's a customer relationship or it's a competitor type relationship. So it's important that we are here to serve our verticals, but that we understand those items that are overarching to all of us. And those are, to me, the key ones. And every time I turn around, somebody else has a new workforce development, a new this, a new that. And I just keep thinking, I don't understand why any of this is happening in a vacuum. It's very fractured. And so there's several other associations that absolutely agree, and we're working to come together into one for those things that serve the greater good of the industry, because at the end of the day, that is our job, is to serve the industry as a whole. And by doing so, each of our memberships benefit, and we can do so better, smarter, and faster. One of my past mentors, that was her line all the time: better, smarter, faster. We can be better, smarter, faster if we do those things together, and nobody has time to wait for us to do it fractured. And some of those things, in my opinion, should not be monetized. There's a time and a place for it, and I'm okay, with what gets us there to fund those systems, but these things should exist for the greater good in a lot of ways.
No, that's a great point. And I take that into context with the next statement that I was going to ask. And I know Mark has mentioned a couple of times here on the show that you were working with some contractors, let's just say, on issues that affect exhibitors and people within our industry, and it's coming from this sector. And maybe in the past, we haven't seen much of that. Can you highlight a little bit about how you can go about? Is it going to be the sit-down discussions of, okay, here's what's happening, tell me a little more so I could take this and go to the other side of our industry and tell them why it's happening and what we can do to make things better? Or is it education? What's the solution of a methodology that you could instill through ESCA with our members to help the whole ecosystem of exhibiting at trade shows and conferences and expos with new rules that are happening and seemingly happening as we go into 24?
Well, and I think, part of a rule you're speaking about was a safety related concern. So there was, and if this is an example of an issue, so recently there was a safety related concern that was being addressed by contractors, and they were right to address the issue. Anything that puts anybody in harm's way needs to be addressed. And as it was rolled out, there was a few pieces to it that needed some tweaking that would make it more easily adaptable and better understood and easier to roll out. And those pieces were not the primary focus of the rule. The rule was about safety. So it was great. Exhibitor Advocate, EACA, EDPA brought it to our doors and got us involved. And we kind of said pretty quickly, well, this should be an easy one to fix. Let's just address the concerns and work together to do so. So we were able to create a forum where the contractors heard the concerns from those that would be affected by the policy and are going back and making some adjustments. And it's been a pretty easy, smooth process to say, yeah, we hear you, we understand, we want this to be done right. Once that is done, this policy will actually roll out through all the rest of the contractors to ensure consistency nationwide, because in this case, this consistency is intended for safety, and that's the most important part there. So, and that's another thing that we need to focus on more going forward, is just being consistent across the board. So we're grateful to that contractor for addressing a gap, because if there had been an issue, it could have been catastrophic. So they're addressing a gap and have identified it. And several of the contractors were already doing so, but now they're coming together. They're going to get behind one formal policy. We were able to hear the concerns and iron out those kinks, and it should be pretty easily done. And I would say to anybody going forward, you know, before you throw your arms up, let's have the conversation and see what we can do and see what makes the most sense. And I think too, this has helped us create a collaborative approach going forward with some of the issues that affect the larger population, to get the input and the feedback from the entire ecosystem, because we do all have to work together in this.
It makes sense. And there's certainly nobody on, at least from this seat, is questioning safety. If that's what, in my opinion, it was technology racing way ahead very quickly. And it's a kind of a ready, fire, aim as far as how are we going to, and it's rigging. How are you going to set technology up high and do it safely so that it follows guidelines? No problem. But I just think people were taken aback with the way it was rolled out. And yes, that's great news. If we can certainly have a plan moving forward, that I think everybody would be happy with that.
Yeah, and I think we've reached a pretty equitable solution. We're just waiting for a little bit more of the finals, and there's a bit of legalese that needs to happen on the back end to ensure that all the proper protections are in place. But really a big part of it too is, you know, we have structures coming into the US from all over the world right now that are not meeting our regulations. So, and they're not held to the same OSHA safety standards or ANSI safety standards. So it's important to make sure that everybody is safe in doing so. And really that was the primary intent of ensuring everybody was safe. So again, just a couple opportunities for a little bit of a different verbiage to ensure adaptability.
Fair enough. Let's go to something fun. Let's wrap up with a subject that we can all smile about, and that's looking forward to the 2024 Summer Educational Conference that's coming to Hot Springs, Virginia. Hopefully we can take that hot out of the name and we can make it a Cool Springs, Virginia, or something like that. Sorry.
Up in the mountains, it should be nice and cool. It should be more like Asheville was, with that perfect weather and maybe, you know, a little bit of drizzle in the mid-afternoon, which we're okay with. But we just did the site visit. It is the coolest place ever. So it's this horrible commute. You know, that's how we do it. We make you really have to work to get there, and then you're stuck with us, right? But I tell you, when you get to this place, like you turn a corner after this hour going through the mountains, which, you know, is a little bit of a nail biter, and then it just opens up in front of you, just acres and acres of this amazing property of Omni Homestead. Which just finished I think it was a $600 million restoration. It's the oldest hotel in all of America, the oldest First Tee in all of America. It is so amazing. There's so many activities. Hashtag falconry. Just, you know, I got to slide that one in there. It is so beautiful. Our site visit team just kept going, well, we're going to have to add another day for that. Yeah, gonna need one more day for that. They were up to 3 weeks by the time we left. This is one we always encourage members to bring their families. This is one you bring your family. You may never go back there again, and you will always remember that you went there. It is that amazing. So we're beyond excited. We're doing so much new stuff with it. We're looking at gamifying it a little bit. And we have such a competitive group, right? All these leaders in one room that got there for a reason, and they love a little competition. So we're working on adding some really fun elements to it, as well as, once again, ramping up that education. So that when you're there, our goal is, giving C-suite leaders of organizations tools for their toolbox, and what are those? And so that's always our focus, that they can leave each session with something.
Talking about that hour drive through the mountains takes me back to my very first, actually it was the second ESCA. My first one was in Miami, very flat there and also hot. But my second one was at Lake Tahoe. And I remember driving from the airport to the site, and I mean, it was looking up into Mountain City, driving through the roads to get there, if I remember correctly. So
this is going to be the same. It's the same experience, but it's beautiful. And you can't even look at your phone. You'll get car sick. The whole thing is just, but we stopped 4 times. We looked at waterfalls, like pulled your camera out, the sun setting. I mean, it was so picturesque. It's incredible. So yeah, and there's not much of a town to speak of there, but the property. Oh my goodness.
It's all about the property.
The first spa in America.
Oh, really?
Who goes there? This is going to be so great. So, and you know what we're going to do this year is we're going to have transportation from the airport. So, because there's only 11 flights that land in Roanoke Airport every day. So it's going to be real easy to shuttle them in.
I bet most of you did not have Roanoke on your dance card for flying into this year. That'll be an interesting trip. So anyway, yes, it's coming up. It's now time to start thinking ahead for 2024, especially the last week in June. I'm not sure it's the last, 23rd through the 26th. So it's late in June, as it always is.
We're going to send out save the dates in January so everybody can start getting those flights booked, because they are limited in their offerings. We want to make sure we give everybody that opportunity. So we'll have Reg open maybe a few weeks after that, but we're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, Angie's like, oh, we'll just drive it. And I'm like, no, we'll fly that one.
I'm driving.
Virginia's a little too far away. It's Julie Kagy from ESCA. Thank you very much for coming back on the show. And we're doing that again, this time with much better audio. And, we're going to watch 24 unroll, and everybody that I talk to is saying this is even going to be better in 23. So who knows, but definitely looking forward to your leadership going into ESCA for 24. The new board members, the new staff, everything should roll out just nicely there for ESCA as we roll forward.
Thanks, Mike. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, everybody brace yourselves for 24. Hopefully it's going to be another doozy. So we appreciate all you do, and happy holidays to you and yours.
Mark and I will come back and wrap up this Christmas version of the Exhibitor Now show after this. Attention, trade show and event marketing professionals. Are you ready to take your face-to-face marketing expertise to the next level? Join more than 3,000 candidates currently enrolled in Exhibitor Group's Certified Trade Show Marketer Program. CTSM is corporate America's top source of the industry's best trade show and corporate event training. CTSM certified trade show marketers enjoy expanded career opportunities, greater respect and authority in their organizations, and earn higher salaries than their acronym-free peers. Learn more, earn more. Visit ctsm.com today.
Mike, we've talked to Julie many times, and she always keeps adding to the context and the detail and the depth of her industry knowledge and what's going on. And it was a great interview, and I'm really excited for what she's bringing forward. This is going to be a good year for her, for ESCA, and for all of us in the industry. So I love working with her. As I said before, there's a lot of initiatives we're doing joint efforts with for Exhibitor Live, and her and David Dubois will be working at the show. We've got some neat surprises there, so that'll be fun.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun. I'm sorry, I cannot do it anymore. Okay, that bell is absolutely driving me crazy. So sorry about that. So like I said, that'll be given away to somebody here who wants to be jolly and festive for the rest of the week. It won't be me. No, Julie is absolutely class act. I always call her a sister from another mother, because she's, we go back a ways, and she's given me a lot of liberties, the ESCA thing, and she puts up with my 2-minute commercial and everything I do, on stage to be silly, but They're a great top class act, and enjoy being a part of that. Class act coming up, Exhibitor Live. Was we always I like this part of the show because I always learn something new about what's new that you can talk about with Exhibitor Live and the updates with that.
Yeah, we're getting really excited. I don't know if everybody remembers, but Jim Gilmore is our chief strategy architect, and we're working with him weekly on some of the neat surprises and short little or small things that we hope do a big impression. We want to make sure people see at the coming show that we have changed. It's a whole new exhibitor live, and we're going to continue to drive relevancy and ROI for all of the attendees. But we do have a little bit more that's still coming, but we've got a group. Our target is to get a higher level C-suite, as you talked about, some more decision makers. And right now we've got a number, I think it's $500 million of more buying power coming to the show than in the past. And it's a new group that we've been courting and working with, and you'll find out more about that. But we are excited about that as it goes forward. And I'll end it with the okay. So, Mike, when Rudolph loses his tail, where does he go to get his tail fixed?
I have no idea.
To the retail show or store,
Okay.
the retail store.
God. You know, there's yeah, I usually am the one that ends up offending with the show with something corny or, but you win the Christmas corny joke award here at the end of Exhibitor Now. I'll make sure I get that trophy to you in the mail. It'll be probably a Starbucks card for $5 or something. You give that to a flight attendant on
There
your
you go.
next flight. So yeah, we hope everybody has a great Christmas weekend. Of course, kind of weird this year, Christmas on Monday. So your weekend's going in, a lot of closings on today and tomorrow, or actually this is Thursday, so Friday and Monday and Tuesday, and it's kind of throwing everybody's schedule off. But whatever it is, we hope that you have a great Merry Christmas. We will be back next week with a show, and it'll be our New Year's show. So we're going to kick off 2024 and have a little fun with that.
I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, happy holidays to Mike, to you and your family, and to all of our listeners. So we'll talk to you soon.